In 1969, I did not know the United States had a military, nor did I care. Didn't think about it. It didn't cross my mind. I was 17, 18 years old, and I had no thoughts, no ideas. Well, let me go back a little bit. Yeah, I got to go way back. Um, when I was 6 years old, I had rheumatic fever. I was in a wheelchair. So, and literally, my parents had to pick me up, take me to school, put me in a wheelchair. I went to school. They had to come pick me up and take me. So, for that, for not strictly for that reason, but for, but I just assumed that they had the wrong person. I mean, I couldn't make it. I'm not qualified for the military. I had a heart murmur. I had rheumatic fever. I had all the, which I still have. I mean, I say I still have a heart murmur, a really bad one. And so I was thinking, well, military, that's must be for somebody else and not for me. But so anyway, I was getting like notices in the mail, and I look at it and it says Department of Defense or whatever. I just throw them in the trash. And by the way, I was living in North Augusta, South Carolina, and we'd have to go way back to talk about how I got there. But I was living on my own. I had an apartment, had a car, probably had a girlfriend. I don't know, but it's a long time ago. But anyway, I was getting these notices in the mail. I just threw them away. So one day I was at home and knocked on the door, and two MPs was at the door. Military police were at the door. I said, "What do you want?" And they asked me my name and so forth, and they said, "Have you been getting these draft notices?" I said, "I guess." I said, "For me," I said, "I'm not military. I'm not a military kind of person." I said, "I don't. I've had medical problems." I said, "You got the wrong guy." So he says, "Hold your hands out like this." I held them out, and he handcuffed me. So he put me in the back of a MP car and took me to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And he said, "You are now in the United States Army." No, that's not true. They put us in this big, huge room, and they started counting people. And, these 10 people go here, these 10 people go there, and so forth. And they said, "Okay, these 10 people," which I was included in, it says, you are now in the United States Marine Corps." I said, "Marine Corps?" I said, that sounds rough. I said, I don't know. I think you got the wrong person. So at that time, I said, I was thinking, I was pretty street smart. I mean, not educated wise, but I was pretty street smart. So I said, "Well, I'm going to fail all these tests and they'll kick me out." So, they were doing all these aptitude tests and, pick this round ball and put it in this square hole, or the square peg and put it in the proper one. So I just intentionally was just messing it up. And this big old huge Marine drill sergeant come over, and he got right in my face and was screaming at me and says, "You do that one more time, I'm gonna," you can imagine what he said, but it wasn't very nice. I didn't like him at all. I mean, of course, I'm sure he didn't care whether I liked him or not. But I started thinking, well, maybe I should straighten up a little bit, especially due to the fact that I didn't want to go in the Marine Corps. So somehow I don't know what happened, but long story short is I ended up going back to where I was originally supposed to go, and that was back into the bunch that was in the Army. And again, I tried to tell, when we went through the physicals and stuff, I tried to tell them, "Hey, I got a medical problem." And they basically just said, "Shut the hell up." Excuse my French, but they said, "You can't, we don't care. You're going in. You're now in the United States Army." And all the way through my basic training, I tried to. I gave it my best effort of seeing what I could do to get myself kicked out, and I didn't take it serious. Of course, all I did was bring great punishment and pain to myself, because every time you do something, and back then, of course, we're talking about a long time ago, but matter of fact, next year will be 60 years. That's a long time. But anyway, so I would do all these stupid things, so to speak. Maybe they'd realize they got the wrong guy, and I didn't really want to do this, but so anyway, every time I do something, I just take a lot of punishment for it. Like, if I asked a drill sergeant something, ask him a question that was stupid, he'd say, "Okay, go over there and stand. See that tree? Go stand on that tree. Stand by that tree on your head until I get tired." And I'm like, "Okay." So anyway, I just realized after a while, like the first day we got the basic training, they put us all in this room. I raised my hand, asked the drill sergeant, "Could I get a drink of water?" And he made me stand there, and everybody in the building could go get water, and I couldn't get any water, and he made me go out and run around the building. This is in the summertime. It was 19th of June, and very hot, and very confused like everyone else. So I went through basic and never took it serious. Went through AIT, infantry AIT, didn't take that serious either, until I stepped off a plane in Cameron Bay, and then it got serious when I realized it. When I realized that people were there and they were there, their job was to kill you. I took it serious. I mean, really, I didn't. Up until that point, it wasn't. It was all kind of a joke, and maybe it was kind of like a bad dream. I was going to wake up and all this was going to be just a bad dream, but it was just mass chaos to me. I mean, it was people. They put you you got to Cameron Bay, like I said. You're in these big tents. The heat is just unbelievable. People hollering and screaming and telling you what to do and where to go, and then they put you in. Of course, you had to stand in line for chow. So we're in the chow line. It was dark, and they had these big tents, and then the fire base started getting mortared, and people just come. The NCOs come out and started screaming, "Hey, we're under attack!" And I'm like, I didn't know what that meant. I mean, what do you mean we're under attack? And these mortars are hitting all around us, and there's people grabbing you and throwing you down, and getting into, they tell you get in the ditches and get as low as you can, because at that point you had no weapon, you have nothing. So that's when I realized that they were serious. This is not a joke. And we stayed there in process for a couple of days, and then they took you to your unit, which in my case was 3rd of the 506 Infantry. By the way, my entire life I spent in the infantry. So anyway, when we got to 3rd of 506, it was in Pruitt, which is on the coast. We got there at night. They give you all this gear, and you put it in this rucksack, and you lay down and put your arms through your rucksack strap, and it takes 2 guys to pull you up so you can stand up with all this weight. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. It's just, and then of course they give you weapons, and then they put you on a truck and take you out to the field, so to speak, out in the jungle. And before we could get 5 miles out of the base camp, the convoy gets attacked, and if I didn't take it serious enough by getting mortared in the base camp, I think I was pretty serious about it. This is not a joke. I would say I was in the back of a deuce and a half with all truck, with all my gear and my weapon, and of course everybody else was, and you can't. we were scared. I mean, I was scared. I don't care what anybody says in that situation. If you're not scared, there's something wrong with you. And because there was guys in the back of that truck that just slumped over, and you're looking around and people are getting shot right in the back of that truck. So we got off the truck, and the seasoned guys that was there, I guess they neutralized the situation, and of course they're calling in medevacs to take the people off the trucks that got killed and shot and so forth. And then we get on to the unit, which is